kid have been asked the question, what do you want to do when you grow up? Of course, many of us had. When we were 5 or 6 years old, we would say we want to be an astronaut or a fireman, which is of course adorable, but also quite inspiring because it channels this strong conviction that my life can go however I want it to go. But as we grow older, we become more and more aware of all the different social constructs that surround us. We start thinking about a stable source of income or social prestige when we think about our future. And our fantasies start being more and more toned down. And by the time we reach high school, the same question, now phrased as, what do you want to do after you graduate, becomes less exciting and more daunting as we anxiously scramble to either deflect or find an answer that would sound right. And we're under immense pressure from within ourselves, but also from people such as our parents, our teachers, and our peers to give the right answer. But not only the right answer, it's more of a public declaration of our choice, the choice of life, the one which will solidify our academic and professional paths in one set direction, which we will follow for the rest of our lives, achieving great success, great money, and great prestige for ourselves and for our descendants for generations to come. But unfortunately, this is the sad reality of our time. We make a choice while we're still in school, then we get our university diploma because it's the license for us to do our job, and then we get a job and we're pretty much set for the next 50, 60 years. That is if our job doesn't become obsolete in the meantime. But does that system really work for all of us? Also, they say follow your passion, but what if we have multiple passions? What if our passions are just mild interests? And what if our real interests don't lead to any real job? Well, this exact scramble of questions and worries is what I want to address today. My name is Daniel. I was born and raised here in Vilnius. I graduated from high school 5 years ago, and in those 5 years, I got to be a historian, a political thinker, a journalist, a radio station manager, a tech startup developer. I worked in the music business, and I was also a cultural community organizer. It's really confusing, yes. But somehow this weird collection of experiences uniquely prepared me to take the step on a path that I am on today, which is I'm doing a master's degree in educational technology at Columbia University in the city of New York. And so my journey of twists and turns, hopes and anxieties and successes and failures really taught me valuable lessons. And I want to share those lessons with you today alongside with my story. And I hope that maybe they can give you an idea or two about how to think about your present and your future a little bit differently. Throughout this whole time as I speak, keep one key idea in mind, and that idea is letting your curiosity guide you. The first lesson I learned was not to take myself too seriously. When I was in high school, I had many interests, but none of them were academic. I mean, listening to music and wearing sneakers didn't really get you far. But still, I wanted to do something serious. And so I was torn between law and economics and philosophy and politics and business and marketing. Because, well, all these words sounded about right, but I didn't really read or do anything related to any of those fields in my spare time. But still, those words sounded good, and so I wanted in, and so I drafted the perfectly vague application statement about my fascination with the rule of law in a business-driven economy where politics are governed by philosophically sound ideas. And, well, that didn't work. And I graduated from high school with no university offers on the table. But then, at the last minute, I managed to get into this program called History and Politics at Queen Mary University of London. And the good news was that I was going to London, and the bad news was history and politics, because history and politics, I mean, history is fun in high school, I hope. But I didn't really want to be a historian, and also a politician. I didn't want to be that either. So here I was, a student with no bright future, no high income, no social prestige in sight, and so I thought the only right thing to do was to privately declare myself a failure. And I looked in the mirror and I said, Daniel, congratulations, you failed. But as I said that, something changed, and something changed really profoundly. All of a sudden, I didn't owe anyone anything. No success, no nothing. I didn't have to strive for some serious job. I didn't have to, nothing was serious anymore. And so I thought, well, if I already failed, and if nothing is serious anymore, that means that the best thing to do is just to follow whatever seems interesting to me. And so by failing, I set myself free from all the social pressures that surrounded me and were inside of me as well. And by not taking myself seriously, I could suddenly let my curiosity run free and do whatever I wanted to do. And so that's where I started to learn my second lesson, which is the power of small steps. I went to the concert of my favorite music band in London, and it was incredible. It left such a strong impression on me that I decided to write an article about it. Yeah, an article. I didn't want to be a journalist. No. I just wanted to write an article. One article, that's it. And so I sat down, I Googled how to write an article. I started writing. It came together. I thought, okay, fine. What next? I thought, what if I emailed it to my university's culture magazine to see what they think about it? So, okay, small step, just one email, send an email. They liked it, they decided to publish on their website. I thought, oh, okay, cool. And nothing happened after that. That was it. And then another thing came, I think Kendrick Lamar won the Pulitzer Prize, and that was also big news for me, and I said, oh, I need to write an article about this. And that was it, just one more article. So I wrote one more article. Again, same story, sent it to the university magazine. They liked it, published it. Okay, fine. And then I saw that my university had a student radio, and I thought, oh, if I have all these opinions about music, maybe I can do a radio show on my student radio, just for fun. Just like one small step. And so I wrote to the university radio, pitched my idea for the show. They had a spare time slot, and that's it. They decided to take me in. And so here I was running a weekly show on my university's radio. And then in spring, the radio station was electing a new president, and for some reason, no one applied. And I thought, and I applied, and somehow they elected me, and I became the president of my university's radio station. So by taking small steps from one impression with a concert and one article, I was suddenly the president of my university student radio station. And then came blockchain startup. Surprise. Yeah, it was summer, it was 2018, the crypto sector was booming and blockchain was all over the place. And my brother was developing a startup and he invited me to come over and help for the summer. And I said, yeah, of course, but then what was a historian slash politician with a growing interest in music and radio and journalism and do at a tech startup? Well, the beautiful thing is it doesn't matter. As long as you're curious about that thing. I was curious about how tech startups work. Why they grow so big? Why do they make so much money? All these questions, I came to the startup with these questions, and I got a job for myself in business development. I was helping out, and that's it. And in that summer, I learned a lot about how the tech sector works, about what blockchain is, but also a lot about teamwork and about in-office work ethic. And that was it. Back in London, it was back to music. Again, small steps. I was going to events at the London School of Economics. They had speaker series. At one of those events, as their guest, they had a man, a music executive, who was the first man to give Jay-Z a record deal in 1996. I mean, that guy was one phone call away from Beyonce. That guy was the boss of Sam Smith. I mean, really interesting person. And that one evening was my one chance to pick this guy's brain. Out of curiosity, of course. And what I did was a very small step. During Q&A, I just raised my hand and asked a question. That's it. I asked him a question. Next thing you know, we're arguing with each other, practically shouting at each other about the viability of an artist to grow independently in the 21st century or whatever. And the next day, another small step. Wrote him an email, thanked him for the discussion. Another small step, asked whether he had any free openings for the summer at this record label where he was the president. And he sent my CV to HR Universal Music Group, his parent company, and it turns out they had an internship opportunity in the summer for 1 month at one of their record labels. Of course I said yes, and there I was a history/politics student with an interest in music and blockchain startups, being in professional meetings with real musicians and label executives, and being a person in the music business. And why did that happen? Just small steps out of curiosity of what's going on. Yeah, that was the main question. What's going on? And so later in my university had the opportunity to offer me to study abroad. I decided to go to California because that's where the music business was all at. And so as my curiosity grew deeper, the steps grew larger as well. And that's what naturally happened. So I went to California, I was writing my history papers, but also I was on phone calls with people in the music business through connections that I knew from London. And I thought, yeah, this is great. I'm stepping and I'm getting my foot in the door of the global music business. And I thought, yeah, 2020 is going to be my year. But then March came, and of course, everything changed. The music business was in shambles. And I came back to Lithuania, started doing my last year of university remotely. No internships in the music business, no music business really. And it was tough, and so I thought about, what do I do next? And I was clueless because I had this weird mumbo jumble of experiences that together didn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, music and blockchain startups? Okay, good luck. But then I learned the third really valuable lesson that I have to share, which is find something, as you go on these different experiences, find something that you keep coming back to. There will always be this thing that you will keep coming back to, and maybe, just maybe, you can use this broad array of different experiences to find your unique approach to that thing that you keep coming back to. And to me, that was education. Education was always in the back of my mind, but when I was in high school, I thought, I mean, with all due respect, there's no way I'm going to be the teacher. It's like too much of a sacrifice for myself. I can't do that. But by the time I was finishing my undergraduate degree, all of a sudden I had this all range of very interesting experiences. I mean, I knew the power of tech and how a tech company can grow really fast and how innovation happens and what it means to engage the community when you're in the entertainment business and the music business. And also, I had taken classes on history, politics, philosophy, art, and languages at my university in London, but also other universities throughout London. And plus, I had the experience of being in the US for a year, so I knew how higher education functions as a student, and I knew people from all over the world and what people of my age think and what they care about. So, with that, I wasn't on a linear path for a profession. I was studying the world and learning how to make sense of it. And with that, I said, okay, that's it. I'm going to education. And so I found a world-renowned university. I found a really nice program over there. And I wrote a really good personal statement, sent it out, applied. Guess what? I got rejected, actually. They didn't like my application. So I tried again to a different university. And then I got rejected again. And so I thought, okay, maybe my profile is a bit too unorthodox, maybe a year or two of work experience somewhere could help. But then before I did that, just one last small step at a university that I really liked, a problem that sounded really good, education and technology. And I just sent out the one last application. And they decided to take me, and here I was, 22 years old, moving to New York to study education at Columbia. But the point of the story is that we cannot expect our lives to be linear. This is not just my story, but the story of my peers as well. As I look around at my friends, I see physicists who become startup founders. I see philosophers who go on to be cognitive scientists. I see biochemists who start running investment funds. I see economists who become computational neuroscientists. We simply don't know what's in store for us. And success stories only make sense in hindsight. So the best we can do is just to, follow our curiosity. Not to take ourselves seriously, first of all, and let ourselves goof around creatively. Then take small steps, and then see what we keep coming back to, and carve a really unique your approach to that thing. So, going back to curiosity, I mean, that's all, talking about the future. What about right now? How do we foster curiosity right now? I have 3 things I can tell you. First of all is absorb. I wanted to say read a lot, but not everyone's an avid reader, especially in this day and age, especially with all the schoolwork. Books are great, but they're not the only source of knowledge. I mean, use your study breaks to browse interesting TikToks or YouTube videos. Use your commute to school to listen to the news or find an interesting podcast. Or throw a documentary watching night with your friends or your family, or do it alone for that matter. So absorbing is really important because you found out a lot about really different fields. The second thing, talk to people. Just talk to people. There's a beautiful saying that everyone knows something that you don't. And that means that you can learn from anyone. I had a flatmate at university. We shared a kitchen, and he was really into coffee. And I started asking him questions about coffee, about the brewing techniques and the flavors and everything. Next thing you know, I was really into coffee, and I even wrote a history paper about coffee and cafes as a social institution, which really helped to keep the Parisian creative community together during the Nazi occupation. Just because I started asking my friend about his coffee obsession. And so everyone can teach you something, and also share what you're interested in, because they might know something that you don't about your field that you will find interesting. And so the last thing, absorb, talk. The last thing is just go out and do something small. Do something small. I mean, you're into journalism, write 1 headline. That's it, 1 headline. Okay, you did that, write another one. And then write a paragraph, and then write an article. If you get bored at one point or another, it's fine, pick something else. I mean, if you're into physics, do 1 experiment, that's it. Don't expect a lot from yourself, but do something. It will give you ideas, and it will be good. And lastly, I wanted to share a great thing that was once said by the chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov. He said that the difference between an amateur chess player and a professional is that an amateur player spends a lot of time looking at the board, trying to find the perfect move. The expert, on the other hand, sees 3 or 4 moves that are okay, they're not perfect, but they're okay. And they have the confidence to take any one of those 3 or 4 moves, knowing that they will figure it out in the end. And so, bringing it back, don't look at your decision of what to do next after university, or what to focus on right now for that matter, as a life sentence. It's not. It's just an initial vantage point for you to take from which to later look at the world. If you have 5 or 6 different interests, don't worry, you will have time to focus on all of them. You're going to be okay. Just let your curiosity guide you, and it's going to be an amazing time. Thank you.